Welcome to Puyallup Public Library's podcast, Shush with Debi, where we interview and connect with people of the library, city, Puyallup businesses, and the community. I am Debi. I work here at the library as outreach technician, where I mostly do outreach, but I really do a little bit of everything. I'm super excited to welcome our fabulous guests, Sara White and Tien Triggs of Washington State Library. Welcome, Sara and Tien.
Hello, it's great to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, so excited to have you. Can you guys tell our listeners a little bit about yourselves?
Sure, I can go first.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Sara White, and I work as the Youth Services Consultant at the Washington State Library. I've been there since May 2021. I'm coming up on my 4-year anniversary.
Wonderful.
Before that, I was a Youth Services Librarian serving ages 0 to 18.
Wow.
At the Olympia Timberland Library.
Oh, gotcha.
So I actually had the lovely opportunity of working with Nicole.
I was just going to say.
Yeah, so I know Nicole, which is great.
Yes.
And it's fun to see her here. But yeah, I mostly focused when I was working in a public library on early learning.
Oh, gotcha.
And teens.
Oh.
So I did the very youngest and the oldest end of the 0 to 18 spectrum. So those are kind of my two passions in librarianship.
Oh, that's excellent. Thank you. Tien?
Hi, my name is Tien Triggs, and I work very closely with Sara White at the Washington State Library. I am the School and Digital Support Librarian, a position that has only existed since August 2024.
Wow.
But
fresh.
Yeah. And it's exciting because before I came to Washington in 2017, I was a teacher in Maryland. And I happened into libraries because I was walking by the Washington Talking Book and Braille Library.
I love that place so much.
Isn't it beautiful?
It is their hearts. Oh, their hearts. Yes,
and
everything.
I just thought, this is the coolest library.
Yes.
I need to find out more about it. And they happened to be hiring at the time that I was looking for a job.
Did you work there?
I did.
Oh.
But I was commuting from Thurston County.
Yeah, gotcha.
It was painful.
Oh, I bet. That's a long way.
But it is such a lovely place. And I thought to myself, I was looking for something that was education adjacent.
Yes.
And library seemed to be the perfect landing place. So I am a recent graduate with my MLIS from the University at Buffalo.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I worked on the public services side of the Washington State Library before coming over to library development last August.
Oh, how exciting.
I was head of circulation over there and worked with the government publications team.
Wow. Your team, the Washington State Library team, seems so great.
It's one of the best library communities I've ever worked in. We all are super smart and capable and like doing a lot of fun things, and we work together really well. So it's been really fun for the past 4 years.
I feel that way about our library here too in Puyallup, and that our staff is just amazing and loves working together and the public that we serve. So exciting. Well, thank you for your info about yourselves. So let's get started with a couple questions. How does what you do at WSL impact children of the state and the libraries that serve them?
I can go first.
Okay,
if you'd
thanks.
Like. So my job is Youth Services Consultant, and I think that's kind of an intimidating job title because I think the word consultant is sort of loaded. So I like to think of myself as like the meta librarian for all of the people in libraries who work with youth.
Gotcha.
So I'm not necessarily a better librarian or even more experienced than any of the people who are out in libraries. I just happen to be the youth services librarian who is in this kind of wider, big picture role.
Gotcha.
So in my job, I do a lot of professional development for library staff. For example, I've run a cohort of folks to go through storytime training and get better at storytime. I also just run a monthly conversation group that meets virtually for librarians. So I provide training, and that's both more formal classes and informal discussions. We also have money. We have funds, and that is something moving from a public library to a state agency that receives federal funds is pretty magical to have money to give to librarians, because when I worked in a public library, we were always trying to do things with as little as possible. So being able to dream big and do bigger things has been really cool. I think one of the things that I do that's probably the most impactful is I just have a wider view of the state. So I know I can go anywhere in the state and I probably have spoken to the youth services people who work there.
Yes.
So one of the cool things that means is that I can connect people to each other. So if I hear someone's doing a project and they're like, I've never done this project before, I might know someone on the other side of the state who has done it. And I can be like, hey, you should talk to this person and give them their contact info. So it's just been cool to have kind of a bigger zoomed out view of what libraries in Washington are doing for kids.
Yes.
And teens.
Yes. All those connections. It's all about the connections. Oh my gosh. How about you, Tien?
Well, first, I want to give a shout out to Sara because we work very closely together. But I think she realized that school librarians, the teacher librarians in Washington State, need support that requires a lot of different work than just what she was doing with just youth services.
Right.
And so I support the school libraries and the teacher librarian side, doing a lot of the same things with the professional development opportunities, sending them grant information so they can apply for professional development, because of course they need clock hours, and that was one of the things that she started. And I'm eventually going to be the main person in charge, but we offer an in-service training day in the fall for, a dedicated professional development day for teacher librarians to come to, and it's a full day of trainings that we offer online so they can attend online, but then we offer those videos, the recordings of the sessions that are also still going to be eligible for clock hours for those who cannot attend. So it's very accessible.
Oh, yes.
And we are a certified clock hours provider.
Wow.
Which is really important, because what she was saying was that the teacher librarians could not find professional development trainings and sessions that were specific to them.
Wow.
And so we work closely with OSPI to we have someone there, Leslie James, who meets regularly with us to help us find these opportunities. In fact, right now they are doing a second year of Project Look Sharp, which is eligible for clock hours. And do you remember how many people signed up this time?
I think it's somewhere between 20 and 30 this time.
Fantastic.
And it's all media literacy focused.
That's so important for those teachers to have those opportunities.
Yeah, and we also have a circulating STEAM kits program.
Oh, yes. I've heard about those. Yeah.
Well, we recently worked to connect with Puyallup Library because someone in Port Townsend, Melody, was looking for somebody who had a very specific kit, which we no longer had. So I contacted so many libraries throughout the state to see where ours might have ended up when we retired those, because we tried to either community book project them or, send them on their way.
Yeah.
And you were the one that reached out and said, we are happy to help
that's
with
wonderful.
this other library. And it worked out.
Hear.
It was so wonderful, because I had been thinking that we could improve our community relationships with other libraries by facilitating some of this.
For sure.
And it turns out that also a lot of the ESDs are interested in this. So I actually have a slate of people who've made appointments with me to talk about how we can make this partnership work. So
that's so exciting. And those kids are so cool. Cool.
Yeah, we get feedback about how much
I bet you
love
do.
Those kids.
Because who doesn't like looking at samples and miniature things and
Oh, the seal skeleton.
Yeah, there you go.
They're like,
the seal skeleton.
I think that's probably our most popular kit.
I love that.
It's literally just a seal skeleton in a box.
Wow.
So it's like we're shipping a box of bones.
That's so
around
cool.
the state of Washington.
That's so cool. Let's move on to this question. What have you found inspires children and teachers and libraries?
So many things. This is a hard question to answer. So the thing that I sort of came back to is that I think the answer is the same for all of those populations. And I think that answer is being treated as an expert with value and expertise and something to share.
Yes.
And feeling heard for those things.
Yes.
So really seeing a human being for what they are and who they care about and what they're good at, and then using that to share with other people. And I think that's true of librarians. We've had a lot of really great opportunities to highlight the amazing things that are happening in libraries all over the state of Washington and find ways for those people to share their skills, either by like presenting a webinar for us or again, just telling me the story so that I can pass it along.
Yep.
And I think a lot of the projects that I've done that I'm the most proud of, that I will talk about that in a little while, I think, have been focused on that, on like centering the voice of the patrons and celebrating what they care about and are good at. And I think that that's at the core of librarianship. Like that's why I love being a librarian, is that I get to experience the joy and passion of everyone around me vicariously all the time. And I love that so much. When I was in college, I worked at the University of Washington Architecture Library. And I do not know anything about architecture. But like by the time I was done working there, I was like, yes, I know all about these fancy chairs and like the joy of
architecture.
The people around me like seeps into you and you can't help but
it's infectious.
Be excited about it too.
And if you're a learner, if you're a lifelong learner, like we all are, and you want to, it's all interesting and fascinating. Plus, that's so cool. You got to work at that.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Library.
I also think that one of the cool things about being a librarian is that your whole self is valuable to your work in a way that is not true with other jobs. Everything you watch and read and listen to and experience makes you better at your job and able to connect better with people. And the wider I like to think about like literally everything I do for fun helps
you in your work,
in my work, which is just not the case with other
professions,
I don't think.
And beautifully said. Thank you. Tien?
I have to just second that about how by what we do and who we are, we're connecting communities of librarians and libraries across the state. And since we work with very specific populations, a lot of times it's much harder for them to find their colleagues unless we're able to facilitate some of that.
That's wonderful.
And we recently attended the NCCE conference where they had a specific day set aside for the teacher librarians. It was a teacher librarian summit.
Aww.
And we also had representatives from Idaho, Oregon, and were there any other places? It was mainly us, Idaho,
Northwest.
and Oregon. And we got to sit in a room with over 80 teacher librarians. And they came around and talked to us. And to be able to hear what really fires them up. And the way that they connect with each other over resources. That's one of the things as a former teacher I can tell you is you are so hungry for resources and for ideas because you are trying to make what you have in your budget, if you have one at all.
Yes, exactly.
You know, from year to year, you plan that. Can I do this?
Can I do this?
Can I partner with someone who can help me do this?
Yeah.
And it is exactly the same with our teacher librarians. And just to see the energy of them, you know, sharing things with each other. What are you doing? What technology? What is, you know, what is at the forefront right now? Because that's how they see themselves when there are new innovations, new technology coming out. They feel that it is their responsibility to learn it, to harness it, and then to transfer that responsibly, like responsible use, ethical use. And I bring that up because a lot of it has been AI lately.
Oh, right.
So
oh, my gosh.
It seems to be every single conversation
I
bet it is.
I bet it is.
Yeah, and so that's why for our part, when we are not directly working with them, we are also doing that work ourselves to make sure we are educated about it so that when we're getting the questions about can we get trainings on this, can we get more information about this, we're ready to answer them.
You're ready.
Yeah.
Amazing. You guys do so much great work. What is most gratifying about your work?
Everything?
Yeah, I agree.
So while you were talking, Tien, it made me think about how one of the things I really appreciate about this job is how much time we are given to learn.
Yes.
I feel like when I was in a public library, I spent all of my time doing, and it was rare to have time to sit and think and learn. And I just really appreciate that that's built into my job, going to conferences, listening to webinars. It's all part of my job.
You have to be up there with the knowledge.
And one of the most gratifying things about this job is helping carve that time out for staff who are frontline in public libraries, because in this position, I've realized how important and valuable that is. And if I had had that as a frontline librarian, that time to sit and think and have deep conversations about the work we do. So I try to create experiences that are transformational and not just sitting and listening to someone talk. I want people to have conversations with each other and have to do things to learn, not just absorb. So that's been really, really satisfying to see that happen. It's also, I think, just having money to give to libraries is so gratifying. And I mean, we get all of our funding from the Institute of Museum and Library Services through the Grants to States program and the Library Services and Technology Act. And it's not a ton of money, but I think we use it in a really interesting, creative ways to make a big impact. So it's been really cool to be able to say, hey, we actually have money for you to do this project. These are not unfunded mandates like we often get from government. Like the things we do come with hopefully the funding attached to make them happen.
Yes. Amazing.
Yes, for sure. When we can say yes to something that they send to us, is that, can I do this thing? Can I have this idea, and I think it would help our community if we could provide, could we get clock hours for this if we actually had a training on this? And when we can come back and say, yes, we can do this, it's the best feeling.
I bet that is.
And I think what I think about with this job is the fact that because I was in education and was always feeling like I had to look for my own resources. And just spending so much of my own time doing that and not always having somebody to support me, especially when I was a standalone teacher for a subject. I was the department. So, that can be very difficult. And that they know that we can do the research for them. We can find the resources for them. So that's one less thing they have to do after school, after they've done all of their things and come home and say, I need to know more about this, or I wish we could do this, or I wish we could attend something that, would help me do my job better. We can do that. And so that's why I feel like what we do every day for them is meaningful, and what we do as far as being able to create these opportunities, and these are the grant opportunities that Sara mentioned. I mean, how is that not something like wonderful that we can do and give to the community, right?
Yes.
And the best thing is, that it's appreciated, because we hear back from them about how much our work is so meaningful to the other youth librarians, to teacher librarians, and their students too, and the kids attending these programs. How much they love the fact that they get to do these very cool activities or lesson plans or whatever it is, and we were a part of that.
Oh, that sounds so gratifying and so impactful. Sara, go ahead.
I actually have a really good story that kind of exemplifies this. So when we went to NCCE, which I can never remember what that acronym stands for, but basically it's a conference for for educational technology.
Okay.
So a lot of librarians attend because they are
Okay.
often the educational technology person at their school, even though they're also, running a library.
Right.
But one of the cool things that happened is they present the NCCE Teacher of the Year Award at the Librarian Summit. And in her speech, she thanked us because the reason she was able to come to NCCE is because we funded her conference attendance.
Oh, my goodness.
So she was able to come and accept her award because we gave her
Yes.
the professional development funds to actually even attend.
That is amazing. Were you just elated? Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool. I mean, it's just nice to see it in action.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, I was definitely surprised. She called us out. I was like, oh my goodness.
What?
Thank you. Thank you.
That's wonderful. So cool. What projects are you really proud of in your work?
I have done so many fun things. I was trying to narrow this down.
Okay.
Well, I think I want to start with the first project that I think I'm proud of is probably Tien's existence in our department.
Yes.
So when I started at the state library,
Perfect.
we did some stuff to support teacher librarians and school library folks.
Yeah.
But as soon as I started, it made me realize how big the need was. And I also immediately realized that while I could do a lot, I am not a teacher librarian, and it's a very different experience to work in a school than it is to work in a public library.
Right.
So immediately I was like, I'm going to start doing all these things with the ultimate goal that someone could take it on.
Yes. Gotcha.
Because for a while I was focusing a lot more on school libraries than public libraries, which is my expertise. And now we have 2 human beings.
Yay.
So I don't have to do it all by myself. So I'm really
Yeah.
excited that we have someone, that my
Yes.
dream of having a human being to focus on schools happened, and that it's Tien because she's amazing.
Yeah, congratulations to both of you because that's so wonderful.
It's really great because I don't know if you know this, but OSPI, which is the Office of the Superintendent of Public Instruction, which is the Washington government entity that supports schools, they have people who are purportedly there to support school libraries. And they have some people who do that. Leslie James, we mentioned earlier, who's there. She does all of the media literacy work. But there isn't a person like Tien at OSPI. There's not a person who spends 40 hours a week just thinking about school libraries.
Yeah. Wow.
So I'm really proud of that. And she can
Yes.
talk a little bit more about
Okay.
what she's been working on. But the other thing that I'm really excited about right now is basically since I started, I've really wanted to do a project where we funded people to hire teens over the summer as interns.
Really?
And I've been thinking about that since May 2021.
Oh my goodness,
And
that's
it is
so cool.
happening this summer, which I'm really excited about. So this is a pilot year. It's called the Teen Internship Grant Program, and libraries can apply for up to $5,000 to hire a teen intern for the summer. So that includes their salary and benefits. And there are some parameters on what the teen internship needs to look like. It has to be led by the teen, which was really important to me. That it's not like they come in and work as a page for the summer.
Right.
It has to be based on their interest and their passion. So one of the things they have to do is actually do a connected learning project during their course of their internship that's led by their interest. And it can be... I was purposefully vague about that because I want it to be based on what the teen is into.
Yeah.
So Oregon has done a program like this. There also used to be something called the PLA Inclusive Internship Program that this is based on. And I'm excited to see what they come up with. So this year we have a cohort of 5 libraries that are doing this.
Oh.
And I'm taking them through some professional development before it starts. So the 5 of them are going to be in regular meetings with each other to learn more about connected learning, which I could probably do a whole podcast about and won't talk anymore about. And like mentorship and how to work one-on-one with a teen to do a project with them.
Yes.
So I'm very excited. I hope it is successful and we get to do it again and expand it in the future.
Me too. I would hope for our library to. Yeah, exactly.
Apply next year, hopefully, if we have funded.
Yes. Good. Fingers crossed. Tien?
That's a good endorsement for what we do.
Exactly.
Please support us so
Yes.
that we can keep doing this work.
Yes.
But I'm just going to also, I'm going to mirror, Sarah and express my thanks that this position did come about
Yes.
because, she realized that they needed someone who could just work with teacher librarians and support school libraries.
Yes.
And I was a longtime teacher, but
Yeah.
had kind of gotten burnt out. You probably hear that a lot from educators. If
Yes,
they throw
that does.
themselves into their work,
Yeah.
that ends up happening.
Yes.
And it was such a wonderful way to get back in with educators,
Yes.
but not actually be in the classroom.
Yes.
So I will never rule that completely out.
No, good.
I did love teaching so much.
Yeah.
But the fact that what I can do is driven by what I hear.
Yes.
And a lot of them talking about, well, how do this is what my students want. How do we get more curriculum to support this? Because
Yes.
one of the things that I think that we have struggled to provide clock hours for is STEM clock hours.
Oh, gotcha.
And we are talking a lot more about possibly offering at least one, maybe 2 sessions this fall for our in-service training day that are STEM focused. And that excites me because I was a STEM teacher.
Yeah. Oh, that's great
And
then.
so I love going to these meetings and hearing these ideas from
Yes.
the school librarians about what they're looking for, because it helps me to find, okay,
Yeah.
if this is what they need, who can I get in there?
Yes.
Who would really be able to help support them with this work if they're trying to implement it with their kids? And it just feels so collaborative.
Yes,
And
that's another great word right there.
And I appreciate the fact that when I came into this position, Sara had built up so much relational capital with the community
Fabulous.
that it was pretty easy to go in and just
Yes.
keep working on those
Start plugging
relationships.
things
It
in.
was wonderful. And I was already working with the school librarians, but in
Yeah.
a different capacity. So it was kind of funny because I said, oh, I already go
Guess
to
what?
meetings with them, actually. So this kind of makes it a little easier.
Yeah.
But, a lot of it is about, finding out that we had a website that teachers used to be able to upload curriculum
Yeah.
to. And that just kind of, it has stalled.
Yeah.
I would love to get that restarted because some of the teachers that I spoke with at the NCCE conference actually remembered that and said, oh, do you have a curriculum center or something new? And I said, you know what? I've been working on that.
Oh.
Let's talk.
Yeah.
So, I have, again, a lot of meetings coming up with these very interested teacher librarians who said, how can we actually make this work better for us?
Yes.
And now I can do it. And so Sara doesn't have to think about it.
That is so great.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might not know that. So Tien's position officially is school and digital support librarian. So she does other things besides just working with school
Wow.
librarians. But a cool thing that we've been discovering is that there's a lot of crossover.
Yeah.
Like with technical stuff
Yeah.
and what schools need.
Yeah.
So for example, that website she was talking about,
Yeah.
now this position, it's perfect because you can cross over the 2 parts of your job to impact both things
Yes.
positively.
Yeah.
Yes, and I will keep pushing our mailing lists because I am administering those. So if
Excellent.
you are not getting our newsletters,
Yes.
reach out to me. We'll get
Okay.
you signed up.
That's a great reminder. Anything else that you guys want to add? Any other little story or anything about Puyallup that you want to
I
add?
would love to just thank Puyallup. So I have
sure.
used your library multiple times for work purposes. We've hosted trainings here. It's a really great central location to host
It
in-person
is.
trainings.
Yes.
So we've brought librarians from all over
Gotcha.
this region to come to trainings in your meeting room.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for that. I also once met with some teacher librarians here. It's a great meeting spot
It
between
is.
Olympia and Seattle to plan work together.
Yeah.
So I just appreciate how open you are to us. I think you've been really generous with your space and time.
That's great.
And supporting our work. So thank you. I think
Yes,
that's
you're
great.
welcome. And I have to give a plug to our meeting rooms here because I once met somebody in the last year, a gentleman who visits libraries all over our state. And I took him to his study room he was going to be using. And he told me, he said, I visit all libraries. And he said, you and one other library are the top 2 meeting study room libraries in this state. And I was like, wow. But I do know ours are really nice. So
It's true. They're very well.
Yeah, they're great.
They do what we need them to do.
Yep. Nice big spaces. Yeah. So you're welcome. Well, I can't thank you both enough for all the important and impactful work that you do for the Washington State Library. And it was wonderful to meet both of you guys. And thank you for being on our podcast. Keep up the great work.
Thank you so much for having us.
Oh, you're welcome.
It was very fun.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.